Assalamu alaikum. Today's video, and today we're going to be talking about Risale-i Nur exceptionalism. Okay, this is the belief that students of the Risale-i Nur should read only the Risale-i Nur. This is not excluding the Quran, which is the holy scripture upon which the Risale-i Nur does commentary on. Now, why is that? If you've went to a study hall, if you've stayed there, you might have heard this, right? Only read the Risale-i Nur. The reason I think that we have this belief, this exceptionalist belief, is because of the fear of divergence, okay, and being unable to focus on the Risale-i Nur. Now, the reason for that is because the rise of digital entertainment has made it very difficult for us to do something like reading an analog book, right? I recently went to stay at a study hall in Texas, and one of the students there told me, people just can't devote themselves to the Risale-i Nur. They're too busy. They're too occupied with social media and playing games. Now, thankfully, I don't suffer from those things. Okay, well, maybe I do, but the point is, the rise of digital entertainment, coupled with also the fact that this is a collection of tafsir that spans thousands of pages and is also very heavy or difficult to understand in nature, when you pair those two together, it becomes very difficult to read the Risale-i Nur. It becomes a very daunting task. This is one of the reasons that people at the Risale-i Nur study hall, they said only read the Risale-i Nur, right? Because we also want to read other texts as well. We also want to read other books, and I think there's this fear that if we do that, there will be this divergence. We won't be able to focus on the Risale-i Nur, and we're already struggling to read it, mind you. Now, if you're wondering, well, what's my position on this? Do I embrace the exceptionalist belief? Do I completely reject it? Well, I take the middle ground. I believe that we should mainly focus, if you're a student of the Risale-i Nur, we should mainly focus on reading the Risale-i Nur, that tafsir, okay? On reading the Quran, the tafsir, on studying the Sunnah, okay? These should be our main points of focus. Now, what if you want to learn about other things? Let's say you want to learn about Islamic jurisprudence. You want to learn about ethics, and maybe you want to learn about things that are not related to Islam, like, for example, astronomy or mathematics, right? You want to read books about these things as well. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't. However, how much you devote yourself to these other books is important. I very recently realized this. You can't, it's not a good idea to try to master each subject, to try to become proficient in each one. Okay, if you're going to, you should sort of monotask, if you get what I mean. Like, we should just focus on a few points of attention, and other things that you want to learn about, you can get like a well-rounded understanding of those things, right? So you could get a good understanding of what Islamic jurisprudence is, of what ethics is, of grammar, of things like that, and also about, like, the ones I mentioned, mathematics, astronomy, like physics. You can get a good understanding of those things, but I don't think it's a good idea to try to become extremely proficient in them, because that requires a lot of time, a lot of attention, and that can divert you from focusing on the Risale-i Nur. Now, you could argue here that learning these things will enhance our understanding of the Risale-i Nur. And that's true, but think about it like this. So, for example, I'm 16, and I'm very interested in political science, okay? Now, if I'm studying political science, I also want to study, for example, astronomy. I want to study mathematics, okay? Now, I can study mathematics, but I should not devote myself so much that it prevents me from focusing on political science, which is my main point of focus. Okay, you get what I mean now? Learning mathematics, that's definitely, that'll enhance my understanding of political science, especially maybe in things like economics or military warfare. It would also sharpen my mind. But if I just, for the most part, devote myself to mathematics, then I can't focus on political science, right? So there's a balance that needs to be struck. I can either learn it, or not learn it at all. But there's the middle ground, right? Where I could just learn some of the core ideas, right? Not try to master or learn all the details, all the nitty gritty, okay? Because then you get lost. You just drown in a sea of knowledge. So I see myself as a sort of semi-exceptionalist. I think that we should mainly read the Risale-i Nur, mainly read the Quran, and other things that we want to learn about. We should get a good understanding of those things. We should also read about those things, but we shouldn't make them. We shouldn't try to master We shouldn't try to master them. That's what I personally think. So I hope you guys benefited from this video. Hope you were able to learn something from it. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd be very curious to hear what you guys have to say. And inshallah, I will see you guys next time.